Today I want to talk about those cases, those stories, those things that like stick in your craw and you can't get them out. And for me, those are really good indicators that it's something I need to explore more, something I want to write about, that I want to let the world know about. And one of those things for me is the case of Shannon Siders. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about the murder case of Shannon Siders. It captivated my attention. It captivated my curiosity and the curiosity and attention of my entire community for 25 years. This is a cold case that happened in Newaygo, Michigan. And I'll just read you a little bit about this case. On a humid night in July in northern Michigan in 1989, the beautiful 18-year-old Shannon Siders went out with friends and never returned home. 3 months later, a local hunter found Shannon's skeleton in a wooded area several miles from her house. It was determined by the medical examiner, who was my father at the time. He's still my father, but he was a medical examiner at the time. It was determined that Shannon had been brutally raped and bludgeoned to death. There were no fingerprints at the scene. The hairs that were found on the body were determined to be Shannon's own, and the other biological samples that they found were just too far degraded to be identified. No murder weapon was ever found. A witch hunt by local law enforcement brought several suspects to the forefront, but there was never enough evidence to make an arrest. Detectives were convinced that Shannon's friends knew more than they let on, but a code of silence prevailed. Rumors grew, suspicions formed, but ultimately there was no proof. Lives marched forward, and 24 years passed. Until Jenny. She was only 14 at the time, but she had seen who killed Shannon Siders, and she wasn't alone. My novelization is based on this true life murder case of Shannon Siders. I followed the case for 25 years. I had the privilege of learning a lot of it from my father, who did the autopsy. And then later, the case was dormant for 2 decades. Detectives worked on it as much as they could, but for a while just went cold. And then in 2011, Michigan formed a cold case team, and this was the first case that they assigned the cold case team to. And so using brand new witness testimony from several sources, including Jenny and her boyfriend, friend at the time, they were able to make 2 arrests and get court approval for a trial. Eventually, these 2 brothers, Paul and Matthew Jones, who were arrested, were tried and eventually convicted in 2015 for the murder of Shannon Siders, a trial that I was fortunately able to attend. I love this story because, for one, it has an ending. It has a satisfying ending. It's not a happy ending, but it's satisfying, and justice has been served. And that isn't always the case. I'm gonna just show you a little bit more about the true life places where she lived and some other facts about the case. In the next few episodes, please come along. Thanks. We'll see you next time.